I grew up living in dirt poor poverty in Georgia. At the age of 6, I begged my dad to invest into Apple. And that one trade, that one investment changed our entire life. But a decade later, I lost everything. I lost his money, I lost my money, I lost his friend's money. I lost $1.2 million on my 21st birthday. In this video, I want to walk you through my story, the real story, not the polished, scripted version. I want to tell you what really happened. I want to share with you the wins, the losses, and then I would love to share with you the lessons that I learned along the way. Most people that I talk to, they think that you need a Wall Street background or some type of really special finance degree to interact with the stock market, or specifically to succeed at trading or to succeed at investing. And the truth is, I had neither. I made more money when I was in my 20s than most people will make in their entire life, but I did not understand the risks. I didn't know how to protect the investments or the capital. After losing $1.2 million of other people's money, I spent years rebuilding. Not only did I pay back every penny of the 4 people's money that I lost, including my father, I've back traded the markets over 78 times. When I say back traded, that means I went back from the very beginning. I took the Dow Jones from inception, from the early 1900s, and went day by day, the entire length of the Dow Jones over 70 times. And by the end of this video, it'll probably be over 100 times. I've exited over 5, 7, and 8-figure businesses in my career. I've coached thousands of people just like you to financial freedom, to the understanding of money, and to true impact, to be able to give, to be able to give, to be able to live and have a life that's almost unrecognizable to them. And I did all of that using the exact same system that I built starting at rock bottom. So this is my story. In 1995, me, my dad, and my brother, my oldest brother, Jerry, we were watching a movie called Forrest Gump. And about 80% of the way through the movie, Forrest Gump is kind of recounting his story. And he says, Lieutenant Dan invests into some kind of fruit company. It says, we don't have to worry about money no more. So I said, good, one less thing. That intrigued me. Sitting here watching this video on my bed, which was the couch. Next to it was a table with 4 cinder blocks. The table was a door. And on this couch that we were sitting on watching this movie, when I would go to sleep at night, my blankets were a towel. I knew that we worried about money. So when I heard Forrest Gump talk about never having to worry about money ever again, but then secondly, I also noted that after he never had to worry about money, he went and built a church, a school, and a hospital, and then retired above his mom out of the kitchen. I knew that money had such an incredible impact opportunity. It had the ability to expand someone's heart. I know if you're watching this video that you want to give more money to your church or your communities, that you want to donate more, that you want to travel more, that you want to be with your kids more, that you want to be more. And what does that require? More requires money. It's one of the 2 things you can spend in this life. It's either money or time. We can only spend one of those 2 things. And what I spent at the age of 6 was time. I asked my dad, I begged him to invest into Apple, and he gave me the very popular fear, the explanation to why most people don't invest in the stock market. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I don't have enough time, and I don't have enough money. But eventually my dad kind of caved, and he told me that if I brought him some money, he would match it dollar for dollar. So I went and I picked blackberries. I sold them for $1 per bag. And in the summer of 1995, I made $1,500 selling blackberries. Because let's face it, I was wearing jean shorts, no shoes, no shirt, selling blackberries for $1, which was like $3 cheaper than you're gonna find them at the grocery store. And me and my dad bought $3,000 worth of Apple stock in 1995 at the bottom, right when Steve Jobs was getting out and Everyone said that Apple wasn't going to innovate anymore and there was nothing powerful or interesting or innovative. And so I bought Apple at the very, very bottom. And in 2000, my dad moved from Georgia to Florida. The whole family came and I asked him how my Apple stock was doing. And the $3,000 that we put in was now worth $12,000, which is a 400% return. And I think you probably would agree if you're watching this video that we really don't learn in college or in school what we feel like we should learn. The basics, the building blocks, the important concepts just simply are not taught at a level or a framework that I or you or we feel like they should be taught in. And so as going through college, I never really got that information or got that power or got that knowledge or got that intel. And I started working at a company called Nationwide Insurance, and Nationwide Insurance is where I learned finance. I read a packet. I had a cute older lady drop off a 401k packet at my desk, and I read it cover to cover because I figured this is as good as my finance degree. Going through a college, top 10 business college in the nation, I didn't know what a 401k was or how to use it or how to understand it. So I studied this packet and I read it cover to cover and I learned everything that was inside of it. And it gave me a wealth of knowledge. So ultimately I started trading my 401k and I made a bunch of money. I turned $10,000 into $30,000 over a couple months. And then my dad, I told him about this and he learned about this. And then my dad gave me his retirement money, $105,316. This was almost 12 years ago now. And all we had to do was just log in, username and password, right? There was no 2FA, two-factor auth at the time. So I just logged in and started trading his account. I took 105,000, turned it to 130,000 in a couple months. And then he told some buddies of his and they were extremely eager and excited to invest with this bright financial wizard, this 20-year-old genius who's in this University of Florida, the first person in my family to go to college. And I was the chosen boy. I was the golden boy and everyone threw money at me. And I turned that 400,000 to 1.2 million. And then I invested into instruments that go to zero. I didn't understand the risk. I didn't understand the components. And I hold the unofficial Guinness World Record for buying silver at its highest price of all time. And I lost a bunch of money. But what I want to impart on everyone watching this, what I want to impart on you, is that I had the integrity to live up to my word. When I reached out to these individuals and we had conversations with them, I told them, I guaranteed them, I promised them I would give them a 20% return. I called each one of those people, including my father. Now, granted, I was a lot drunk. I went to Bubba Gump Shrimp Factory, ironically enough, in Daytona Beach, Florida, and got hammered on $5 pitchers. And I called every single person, the 4 people, including my father, and I said, this is what I did, and I'm sorry, and I lost the money, but I'm gonna pay you back. I'm gonna pay you back over 10 years, and I'm gonna pay you back with interest. And so I created, in my mind, a standard based on my integrity, based on my word, based on my reputation. What most people in life will never do is do that. Most people in life will never create a standard that they hold their life to, where they say, this is what I'm going to do no matter what. I will beg, I will borrow, I will steal, but I will complete this mission. But that's how I felt. And so there was a question that entered my mind every day of how can I make $4,000 a month, because that was how much money I needed to pay back to make sure that everyone got their money back within 10 years. And what I was doing during this time is not only was I trading more, I was trading better, I was studying more, I was reading more books, I was spending dozens of hours every week in the library reading, going through books, going through classes, going through programs, going through seminars. I went to every live seminar that they hosted in Florida at the time. This was in 2012. There was no alternative. There was no choice. There was a commitment, there was a focus. And the commitment and the focus was to get my money back, to get my dad's money back, to get everyone's money back, but most importantly, to learn how this worked. And I just want to say thank you for making it this far in the video, because this is the part that gets really hard for me. Like, there was so much turmoil in my 20s because my dad gets diagnosed with prostate cancer when I'm 22, 23, and they give him a year to live. So now I have this mission to pay my dad back, but now I have a time window. But I don't have the money. I mean, I'm making okay money. I'm doing the thing. You know, it's a 10-year time horizon, but your dad's gonna die in 9 months, what do you do? So I asked people that I work with, I started talking to people, I became very vocal, which is an important lesson. Became very vocal about what I needed, what I wanted, started asking, and eventually it came to me in the form of someone coming up to my desk at Nationwide Insurance and saying, hey, I have this friend, he gives money, he gives hard money loans out. And I met him in a Kroger parking lot at like 9:30 at night on a Tuesday. And they all pull up in cars and he gets out and he's wearing a suit and he has an Uzi on his chest and he hands me $12,000 of cash in a paper bag. And it looked like, and my assumption was he was part of some type of mafia, Korean mafia, Vietnamese mafia, I don't really know, but it was scary, it was terrifying, but I took that money and I took that money and I put it into what's called a proprietary firm. The proprietary firm gives you 1 to 20 leverage. So me trading with $10,000, they took $2,000 off the top. I had $200,000 of day trading buying power and I started day trading. I bought on a credit card 2 big TV screens and a laptop, and I would sit at a tropical smoothie. It was a 24/7 tropical smoothie. It was open every day, every hour. And so I would work 85 hours a week and I would go to school full time. And in the 3 minutes that people should sleep, I was trading. And I would take my trading rig and I would sit there at tropical smoothie and I would trade my face off. And on his deathbed, one of my proudest moments is I was able to pay for my whole family to be there. And 2 days before he died, my dad's funny, dude. My dad's funny. He tells me about this trust fund, this annuity that my nephew has. My nephew's name is Donovan. And he said that we had millions of dollars in this annuity, which was hilarious because the poverty we grew up in was almost unsubstantiated. It's almost unrecognizable in most places in the world. And there we were in the United States of America with no running water. So Dom and I celebrated after we buried my father. I obviously got blackout drunk at the funeral. And Dom and I sold the annuity early and we did what's called a future cash value refinance. And so we sold portions of the annuity and we took millions of dollars and started implementing our dreams instantly. Now, Dom and I were the closest people you could ever have in your life. There was no one closer to me than him. We had ultimate loyalty, ultimate trust. And we were doing everything. We bought real estate, we bought farmland, we bought tractors, we bought equipment, we bought everything. Whatever dream we wanted, we started buying it. And of course, he gave me a couple $1 million to trade the markets with. Now, ironically, although I was trading the markets, I was also trading commodities because Donovan loved to farm. And he and we leased tens of thousands of acres of farmland. And we would trade commodities physically. So I would go into the chart and buy a commodity with a bunch of money, let's say soybean futures. He would say, hey man, go buy a bunch of soybeans. So I'd go buy a bunch of soybeans. And we had 1 of 2 situations. If the soybeans went down and I had to fulfill the order at a lower price, then I would just call Donovan and we would actually harvest all these soybeans and then end up selling them for a large profit because we bought them at a lower price. Or if the futures contract went up, I would just sell it. And we made hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. But one of the things that Donovan and I also were doing is we were about to buy 16,000 acres in the middle of Georgia. And the gentleman that we were talking to was going to do a forest sale by owner. He was just a good old country boy. I was one of them, we didn't know each other, but he was in the good old boy club. I was in the good old boy club, have been my whole life. And we kind of knew of each other. And, we brought this operation that we were doing. Dom and I were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a week off of, 4 or 5 million. 4 or 5 million turned into 8 million in like 5 months. I mean, we were killing it. I was trading like a monster. I was making tons of money. Everything was great. And, to buy 16,000 acres in Georgia at the time was about 25 million. So it would require us to kind of go all in, put 30% down on the property and then finance the property. And we already had the business plan for the property. We were going to subdivide and then we were going to, sell some to some developers. Then we were going to clear cut some trees and sell the trees, sorry, environmentalists. And we were going to do these different portions and, create some good income on this property. And it was all going to work out. It was all going to, everything Dom and I did turned to gold. We always won. Now I'll pause for a moment. So now we're in 2015. 2016. In 2014, I had created a company called Real Life Trading. And I ended up selling that company in 2024, 10 years later. But in 2014, when I created the company, there was no other company on earth that took everything about the stock market and made it for free. And so I took, at the time, 2010 to 2014, 4 years of knowledge. I felt like I didn't know that much, although I was, at the time, probably one of the top 500 best traders on the earth. I took everything I learned and just created it and made it free. No paywall, no pay barrier, nothing. Click on it, get all the information in my head for free. And there was a lot of companies that didn't like that. And so I got sued, which really wasn't that big of a deal. I had millions of dollars of backing. They didn't know this, but I didn't want to be affected negatively, so I just made sure that I had no money and that Donovan's money was Donovan's money and my lawsuit was my lawsuit, and it was a very clear cut, and so they knew nothing about Donovan, and so I made sure I had no money and that Donovan had all the money, because after the lawsuit was over, which I knew it would be over because I did nothing wrong other than create information that they couldn't compete with because I was just better than they were, everything was in his name. The Charles Schwab account was $8 million, over a dozen businesses, everything. Properties, waste management facilities, the trucks, the vehicles, the convenience stores, the gas stations, the apartment complexes, the condos, the lands, everything was in his name. And the conversation that me and Donovan and Nelson had, that was his name, Nelson, it was on a Thursday. Donovan died Saturday in a wakeboarding accident. And him and I and everything we had built in the last year and a half disappeared. And this is the point that I really, really start cursing God and becoming very angry and start drinking the pain away. And I'm still trading and I'm still doing a lot of investing, but I just feel like whatever I'm doing, I mean, I got sued, I lost all my money with my dad's dead. Me and Dom have this huge business, we have this huge windfall, pure luck, oh my goodness. And then he dies, and I just feel like every single thing I do is going wrong, and I can't figure out why. But I ultimately figure out the common denominator in all these stories is me. Because I realized ultimately that I never sat down and said, thank you. I never had gratitude. I just said, oh, I'm so cool. Like, I am so great. I'm so amazing. Look at all the things that I'm doing that happened to me. And they were all amazing, but I just never spent time in the abundance. I never spent energy in the receiving of all the gifts that I had. And I never said thank you. I never said thank you to anyone other than myself. And so in 2015 and 2016, you know, in my drunken depression and frustration and anger and the need to make back a lot of money, I asked myself a question that I hope all of you at one point should ask in your life. What's the way that I can make the most amount of money the fastest in the shortest period of time with the least amount of risk? And I asked that question every single day for weeks. And then I stumbled back upon the Bitcoin. And so I sold everything that I had and put $250,000 into Bitcoin in 2016 at $253. And I sold that Bitcoin in 2017 and it was worth a lot more. For the first time I said thank you, and I received, and I was like, okay, this happened not to me, but for me. This was a gift. And I recognized that gift. And I said, I'm not gonna lose it this time, right? That $250,000 investment, 30x'd. So I said, thank you. And I asked the question that I hope, again, all of you ask at some point, which was, not only how do I make money, but how do I keep money? There's two different energies, right? Making money is one thing, keeping is a whole different energy. So I started saying yes to everything that came in front of me. Every coaching package, every program, I spent millions because I had millions. It's cool. But I spent time, energy, money, and effort understanding and learning how to heal this. In 2018, one of those programs was plant-based medicine. And a lot of people have great experiences with plant-based medicine. A lot of people have great experiences with that. And I had good experiences. I wouldn't say I had great experiences, but at some point I fell into what's called a loop. I fell into a loop because I started doing it too much. And I was there for 5 days in the emergency room. And I had a very traumatic experience. And then mentally, there was a lot of a lot of things happening over those 5 days that would probably require another 5-hour video. But ultimately, I realized one big thing, that I had done so much healing in my life that the one thing I did not heal was my spirituality. Once I got out of it and started re-gripping myself with the world, I became an absolute stone cold sober person for almost 2 years. All of 2018, all of 2019, up into May of 2020. August of 2019, I ended up doing an endurance event called the 29029 Everesting, which changed my life. It's where you walk up and down a mountain, and you do it the equivalent of Everest. You get 29,000 feet of elevation gain. I'm with some of the greatest athletes in the world who are now my friends and or mentors, Jesse Isler, Colin O'Brady, Mark Hudalik. And I complete something for the first time in my life that's physical, that was just me. And I said, thank you. I was saying thank you the whole time. I found a sense of gratitude and accomplishment. And 2019 was an amazing year of my life. So many of my dreams came true. So many huge, massive, incredible awakenings and shifts came through. And to come full circle right in 2020, May of 2020 is when me and my girl that I had met, her name was Svetlana, we decided to start dating officially. And then we got married February 14th of 2021. And I have 3 boys and a wife. But most importantly, I'm happy. There's a very popular term, the pursuit of happiness. I think a lot of people think and feel like that's what life is about. And I truly believe that most of my 20s, I was pursuing happiness. I wanted it. I was striving for it. I was reaching for happiness, but I never felt happy. And I've learned in my life that there's a massive difference between feeling it, knowing it, understanding it, seeing it, and believing it. And there are so many wild shifts and revelations that took place over the 2018 to 2020 time period. But 2020, which was, everyone knows, was COVID, and the whole thing was the best year of my life. It was incredible. My business took off, my stocks took off, my relationship took off, my love life took off, everything exploded. And I said, thank you, every day. I didn't know who I was saying thank you to, but I was saying thank you. And I was going down a journey of, it's okay for me not to know, and it's also okay for me to simply be. And to start taking whatever light I was holding into the darkness and just turning it inside and just shining that beautiful light into my own soul, to find out what I want, what I need, what makes me happy, what makes other people happy, and how I can bring all of those into connection with each other, so that not only can I be happy and fulfilled and have tons of money and tons of freedom, but I can also help every other person I interact with be free. Because I've always known what freedom feels like, and I've always known what it tasted like and what it looks like. I just didn't know what happiness looks like or what it felt like. And I feel so many people get those backwards. Most people have freedom, they just don't know it. And most people have happiness, they just don't know how to see it. But I know the formula for both of those. And I also know the formula to make as much money as you want or need. I live in a life where I don't worry about money, I just create it. Money is easy for me. It's simple. If I need the money, I just go create the money. And I go live a life that most people only dream about. But I want to teach you exactly how to do that. I want to teach you not only how to dream, but how to step into your soul, know what you're called for, and then know how to step into that, the best version of you, to get pulled by your purpose rather than pushed by your pain. When you do that, your entire life will change, and the impact that you want to make on this world will show up, and you'll start making it. You won't create excuses anymore. You'll just start living it. You'll be it. I hope this story has inspired you to start your own journey, to become the best version of yourself in some shape or some form, wherever you might be in your life. I'm going to continue to upload a lot more content on this channel, a lot more videos. I want to inspire you. I'm going to show you exactly what my life looks like. I'm going to show you how to make more money. Remember, money is easy. Opportunities are easy. Financial freedom is boundless. But if you are not the container to hold it and to keep it, you won't. There are steps required to know it, see it, feel it, keep it, understand it, and be it. And I will show you every single one of those steps, and I will help you become that person that transforms your life and becomes the generational wealth creator that you were designed to be. Thank you for watching.